Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thanks again so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Quick look again at KAS, but double checking a few key factors here. We can see the price action is struggling, but it's also struggling with the market. So if you can kind of see the price action sweeping down for a lot of coins, KASPA is doing the same. You just got to recognize though that KASPA is moderately overextended compared to other coins too. So there is more propensity for it to drop further if it does lose its support. So we'll talk about that and a few other things. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hope you can learn something today. If you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is the site. Link down below. Also, make sure you join us over on our Discord as well. I have some bonus links here, but more importantly with BitUnix, these guys are awesome folks. They're one of our partnered exchanges here, the primary one that we've been using for almost a year, and they give you really good rewards using my link to register. So I highly recommend checking them out. They are very, very awesome. Good for no KYC or VPN, specifically in the US or Canada. That's where a majority of my traders are at. So, okay, so take a look here at KASPA. Let's look at the liquidation levels first and recognize kind of where we're at here. We're smack dab in the middle of a big liquidation zone. So 14 cents as low as upwards of roughly 18 cents. I'm rounding up a little bit, but we're right at 16. We're smack dab in the middle of that 14 to 18 cent range. This is a liquidation for the last 7 days. So a lot of people are trying to short, a lot of people are trying to long. It makes sense because this coin overextended, sort of, at least on the macro. And then we also have these previous longs here as well that are still in profit. So when we look at the larger time frame though, we can actually see a much bigger accumulation because this looks at the full month, right? So we look at the full month, we can see here, again, that 13.7, roughly 14 cent range has a much heavier concentration. So to me personally, seeing that in combination with this descending trend and Bitcoin looking like it's going to have a bear pennant pattern breakdown, there's a solid chance we're going to see KASPA follow suit. So again, a handful of reasons why that's a probability, but again, it's not a guarantee. So let's look at this here. We got some positive here. We can probably get rid of this descending trend though, because it's already fulfilled its purpose. You can see it broke through its descending trend finally for a bullish backtest here and try to break out, but Bitcoin not letting it happen, okay? So again, when that occurs, you kind of got to shift gears and recalibrate. So let's go ahead and do that here. Let's go ahead and readjust our trend lines here, kind of see roughly what we're looking at here. Because again, when you look at these kind of trends, you want to kind of recognize that they're constantly changing, constantly shifting. So what was good a few days ago is no longer good now, at least within reason, right? So at this point, we can see we've got to get above this descending trend line to have any luck or any legs to stand on. Bitcoin is exuding the same behavior, same qualities, at least in regard to the smaller time frame descending trend lines and even the macro too. KASPA is better than Bitcoin, of course. It's performing tremendously better, but we got to recognize it's still susceptible to sell-offs, and this is no exception. So all that being said, let's quickly look at some important stuff here. We're under 50 on the RSI, generally a bearish sign. While stochastic is swinging upwards or trying to swing up, and it is due for a continuation upwards, we can see at this point here a lot of reasons why it may not be advantageous to consider a long position. I know it feels kind of weird to short what feels like the bottom. I get that, but I don't think the bottom is in for Bitcoin just yet, and that could cause KASPA to have a moderate free fall. You can kind of see what happened when Bitcoin sold off by a good 5% chunk. We saw a pretty solid correction from top to bottom, about 14%. So I'm not saying that KASPA is a 3x to the downside of Bitcoin. I'm just saying that it has propensity to really candle wick out a lot, and that's not great when you have leverage, okay? So again, if you're a spot bag holder, different story altogether. If you're trading with leverage, you might want to pay attention and be very careful taking too much or using too large of a position size rather, okay? Okay, so again, there's a lot of different strategies. Either way you look at it here, we're under 50 on the RSI on the 4-hour, stochastic swinging up, but it's still fizzling out. We are establishing higher lows. You got to recognize this is positive, but with us establishing lower highs as well, generally not favorable. So we're going to just go ahead and draw the trend line here too with just the candle wicks, kind of pay attention, kind of see where we're at. And there's a decent chance we're going to break either up or down. I love it when I say that too, because people probably roll their eyes when they hear that. Wait a minute. Your technical analysis tells me you're going to go either up or down. How good are you at your job? Well, truth is, that's how like 95% of trading is. It's like it's either going to go one way or the other. But at this point here, we don't have a definitive direction, so we have to presume it could go either way, right? Having said that though, everything's pushing the price action down and looking like it wants to go lower. We're below majority of these moving averages. We're below a lot of other factors too. And just to clarify, moving averages on the 4-hour, we're getting rejected by a lot of different ones, okay? Well, all of them rather, and that's essentially a bad sign. That combination with Bitcoin pulling back at 56.1, I think there's a solid chance we're going to see the price action continue lower. Again, that's just me going off the presumption that Bitcoin is going to pull back. Now, again, Bitcoin may not, and that's all well and good, but you got to recognize there's a lot of liquidation down here at 14 cents, a lot more than the upside at 18 to 20 cents. Okay, so trying to get too blindsided by the short term, look at the larger time frame. It makes sense that the price could continue lower to sweep this 14-cent range. So if you're considering a long, a 14-cent long would be phenomenal. Okay, just so you know. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and set alert here, just in case I'm around just at that sub 15-cent mark. Price comes in that range, I might consider a long at that level after liquidity has been swept. Again, there's no guarantees in that, just a higher probability of the price action moving that direction. We can see here tentatively, below the cloud, conversion lines above the baseline with some momentum, but the lagging expand is still below the price action and or encumbered. So that generally is not favorable. It's kind of implying that the price action is more likely to continue lower, and we just have that resistance at this range here. Keep in mind this level here is that 0.382 fib level, tentatively holding the price action in place. So to me personally, in order for us to get some kind of confirmation, here's what we're going to be looking for. We want to look for a break above the descending trend. We want to get over that 200 and that 50-day SMA on the 4-hour, and we want to go ahead and make sure that we are at the very least somewhere above the 0.382 fib level. So a 16.6 or higher would be a solid consideration for a long. Just again, breaking that descending trend line and essentially honoring the ascending one. Okay, now again, we got somewhat of a resistance here, previous resistance at 17 cents. So you don't just go too crazy here. What I would recommend is if you do end up taking a long, you secure profit just below that 0.5 fib level, that 17.1, 17.2, and then you consider buying the dip if it were to happen. In other words, price comes up like this, and that's when you get in. Because again, we're still honoring this ascending trend, the larger term trend, within reason. It's jumping up and down a little bit, but for the most part, we're still working out with higher highs and higher lows. So that's a good sign in the macro. But this, semi-micro here, the midterm, this is basically telling us that we have more propensity for further downside. Again, a lot of it hinges on Bitcoin. So pay attention to that coin too. Make sure you understand what's going on. Well, I would recommend watching my Bitcoin video daily just so you understand how that works. Because if you don't know what Bitcoin's doing, you really don't know what the rest of the market's doing. It's kind of like you're driving with sunglasses at night, right? You can still do it. It's just not ideal or appropriate. All right, so again, that's kind of where we're at. If you want to, make sure you join us over on Twitter, Telegram, Discord, YouTube, TikTok now. Got some shorts coming through your way. And of course, as per usual, make sure you jump on over to BitUnix as well. They are awesome. Excellent exchange. Thanks again for your time, folks. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.